Hello and welcome to the CX Files podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hillary. Until very recently, Vadim Anikanov was the head of global customer operations at Digital Finance International, which is a member of the Finstar Financial Group. He has spent a couple of decades in various CX leadership roles, and at present he's independent and researching the effect of smart speakers on the customer experience. Vadim is particularly interested in the way that smart speakers, such as the Amazon Echo and Google Home, will change and influence customer behavior in a way that allows much greater interactivity with brands. This is a very important topic for executives managing CX today because there are now hundreds of millions of these smart speakers installed in homes globally. Vadim is based between Salt Lake City and Moscow, and I caught up with him at his Moscow office and asked him to explain some of his smart speaker research. Okay, so let's go straight to the interview. Okay, Vadim, I know that you've been involved in the CX and contact center industry for a number of years, but could you maybe introduce yourself briefly to the listeners then?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mark. That's right. I spent a couple decades now in the customer interaction industry with a twist of offshoring and outsourcing. And I've been mostly focused on the nitty-gritty details of the operations management and vendor management and similar vectors. But occasionally I get a chance to step aside and look at the trends that our industry is going through. And that's where the idea of digital voice assistants and how they're going to impact the customer interaction process, that kind of came through very strong, and I decided to spend some time researching that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I've read some research recently that suggests that by next year, the intelligent voice speakers market will actually outnumber tablets. So we'll see more Google Home, Amazon Echoes out there in the market than things like iPads. So do you think that brands that are planning customer service have actually taken this seriously enough?
Well, I think the data you're seeing is very accurate in terms of forecasting the trend, because we rarely see a deployment of smart speakers, but also the software versions of digital voice assistants beating all the expectations and even the most optimistic forecasts. But the downside is, as you really picked it, is that a lot of brands are not really taking this trend seriously enough. And I think they overall underestimate the impact that this whole new user interface model is going to have on the overall range of customer touch points that we support today. Mm-hmm. And I think the primary reason for that is that the early use cases of smart speakers were mostly around home automation and weather forecast inquiries and basic Wikipedia information retrieval. And that have confused a lot of smart people in the industry into seeing those smart speakers as just another electronic toy.
Yeah, so they haven't connected. So people are gathering information, but not necessarily asking for service. And I think there's a good example because I once asked the customer service head of a major hotel chain if his brand is actually connected into the ecosystem. And I actually gave him an example saying, "Hey Alexa, I need a hotel tomorrow night in central Memphis." And he said to me that his company has got no way of offering a room if I make that request. So do you think that this is the kind of thing that's about to change?
Well, I think it's definitely going to change. It's already changing, although the adoption is still kind of slow. I think we're going to see a lot of changes even this year, but still the entire ordering process or the voice commerce thing overall is still primarily for the small ticket items. The small ticket items are still the primary focus of the voice commerce today. I'm hearing that the sub $100 price tag is the current sweet spot.
Mm-hmm. So it's more like connecting to people's shopping list for retail items.
could be reordering things, but I think it's primarily the risks of voice ordering actually on both sides that are still limiting that. Obviously, because the consumers are concerned about accidentally ordering an incorrect item, or in the wrong color, or with the wrong ingredients, or maybe just simply overpaying for something which they could have gotten cheaper in another channel. Mm-hmm. And then there are still the risks on the vendor side, ranging from, prank orders to maybe kind of legitimate orders not getting fully completed due to the complexity of choices and product selection. Mm-hmm. And mind you, the overall financial risks are still a big challenge in the voice commerce today. Speaker identification, account separation for multiple users in the household is still in beta with major voice platforms there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so also then, I suppose one problem is that if I ask to purchase something like a hotel room, then when I see the list of options or choices on the screen, it's very easy to scan through and compare. But on a voice system, I wouldn't want my Alexa to be talking back to me and giving me a choice of 10 or 12 different hotels and trying to describe them by voice. So how are we going to deal with that? And is that an area where we might be using virtual agents that, that understand our preferences to help us there?
I think you're definitely kind of hitting the spot there. I wouldn't bet much on the voice, on the virtual agents. Those are probably still another decade ahead before we really start seeing the benefits of those. But I agree. Kind of one of the biggest challenges behind the voice interface today is its limited abilities to deliver the large amounts of information to the user, because they run in a kind of sequential, in a serial manner, while most serious purchasing decisions require us to, evaluate the options and scenarios like in parallel, and usually in a visual scenario looking at all parts of the web page. Even when I'm ordering a pizza online, I want to scroll through all the options and understand all the ingredients and prices, and I wouldn't be placing an order before I also check all the specials. And if I were to do that order placement through a voice interface in its entirety, I would die of starvation before I can place the order.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting also then, because I think that are there any examples of brands that hook up to these smart speakers but using live agents? So, for example, if I ask Alexa for help with a particular brand, for example, a supermarket, if I name the supermarket and say, I need to talk to customer services right now, are they able to hop onto that call and actually respond with the live agent?
I think it's not as smooth today, and there are still the system limitations of most digital voice assistant platforms that do not allow that type of completely seamless integration of live agents into the automated dialogue or the prior automated dialogue. It's all those APIs on each platform that are still evolving, and they're not there yet to really make that completely smooth and seamless. But they are developing those opportunities all the time, and today each of these smart speaker can still place a voice call to to pretty much any place, but this can also be a call center, and then it kind of falls back to the scenario we've seen already implemented decades ago. But I bet that we would be seeing a lot of smoother handover of customer calls, customer interactions to the human agents, obviously preserving all that information content that had been created in the prior discussions, and have the live call center agents jump in. Or we might be seeing some mixed scenarios where an agent would kind of guide the discussion, which would still primarily be handled by a voice bot. So there are plenty of scenarios there.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose a great example there might be if I just bought a new Samsung television and I'm having a problem configuring it. Surely I should just be able to say, "Hey Alexa, get me Samsung technical support," and then there should be somebody on the voice speaker just immediately. I don't think we're quite there yet, but do you think that that's where we're going?
I think we are definitely going there. And we've seen some early examples in the closed-off product scenarios, like Amazon specifically. Tablets had pretty much a video customer service already built in, and that was still a few years back. So it's not that it has to be invented; it just has to be adjusted to the existence in these new platforms. But I think I would bet we are progressing pretty quickly. And let's just have a look back at the penetration of the web itself. And the early websites were not much more than just a company business card. And then the new versions implemented product catalogs, soon followed by the transactional commerce, and then finally enabling the customer interaction scenarios, customer support, including human agents. History repeated itself almost exactly with mobile applications, which followed through exactly the same steps. And I would bet a lot of money on the smart speakers and digital voice platforms overall following into the same steps over the next few years.
Okay, and so finally then, what do you see as some of those key trends or changes? I mean, what are some of the developments that we might expect to see, especially around how they're used for customer service over the next year?
Well, obviously, number one would be an expansion of the platform capabilities to link the voice accounts to the company third-party CRM systems and other databases. There are some new APIs being published, but they still have some restrictions on them. Definitely kind of the number one challenge is kind of matching the customer on a smart speaker to the customer records on the brand's databases. So number two is a smoother integration of voice and non-voice channels for customer authentication, order completion, or order confirmation, and other scenarios. And I'm talking specifically bridging voice touch points with smartphones, tablets, web interface, where you may start a transaction with voice and then complete it or confirm it on screen, or confirm your identity on screen. And that will address a lot of the financial risks there. And probably a third big trend I would expect some major improvements in is the content management, where the digital voice platforms would be more aware of our contacts, people, prior orders, where we would not have to start each interaction with the brand with delivering all the kind of facts about our prior interactions, but the system would be able to pick it from where we left off last time, but also anticipate our questions, our inquiries, just based on the prior interaction history and order history. I think those three trends would be shaping out not just this year, but probably next 2-3 years. And as we would be seeing the digital voice assistants, both in software and hardware, implementations are getting more and more mature and fuel the next trend in commerce.
Thanks for listening to the CX Files podcast. Please take a moment to review the podcast because this helps other listeners to find it. And if you have any suggestions, then get in touch with me on Twitter or LinkedIn. I am at Mark Hillary with 2 L's, or just search Google for Mark Hillary.